This is a guide for the Allen Roth wall lantern or coach light installation, especially with a problematic concrete surface or mounting surface. So it's not just the Allen and Roth coach light. I mean, this really is appropriate for any coach light. So this is the old one. As you can see, it's 20 plus years old. It's not flush to the surface, which is not a good indication that things are peachy underneath. And so you just take the screws. There's 2 mounting screws on most of them off, and peel it off there. And you can see it's the back there is quite the mess. Something must have made that a residence. Looks like some wasp nests and so forth. In any case, the wiring is held together with these twisty deals that usually come with the coach light. I probably use the new ones as opposed to these old nasty ones. So I'm no professional, obviously. I'm just a dad. Family dude that's, every once in a while you got to do things yourself. I don't pretend to do it necessarily the best way, but I was successful in installing these, and I figure, I always go to YouTube and find help, and so I'm trying to help out others where I was successful. In any case, there's a bracket on these, and they're all pretty much the same bracket, whatever coach light you get. So the old bracket you might want to take off, especially considering that the mounting wasn't very good previously. And, I used a battery-operated drill to take the screws out, but you could use a screwdriver. And there's 2 mounting screws that usually fasten these face plates in that I've seen. So anyway, you peel it off, and then, and by the way, if I didn't mention it before, and it may be too late, make sure the power's off on these, because it probably would hurt otherwise. So there it is. That's the mounting bracket or plate in the stucco and concrete. There's like some kind of concrete stud that's holding it in the middle, and you can see the wiring coming through. It looks like it needs to be cleaned up a bit. There's stucco around the edges, and you want to clean all this mess out of here as best you can. It's not hard. It's just, you can see I just got a screwdriver and picked at the wasp nests and eggs and goop and other things that probably shouldn't be in there. And then cleared the stucco on the periphery as well, because you don't want anything to interfere with the new coach light being flush with the surface, especially once it's going to be painted and sealed. So it's just clear it as best you can around there so it's nice and even and clean, reasonably clean. And I hope I don't sit here all day long showing you this, because it's not necessary. There we go. Okay. I guess I'm going to show you a little bit more of me doing something silly. All right. So this here is the actual one I'm going to put in. It's the Allen Roth wall lantern. Again, any coach light or wall lantern, as they like to call it, I guess, in this situation. Pretty similar mounting situation. It's on this particular one, the screws are on the top, but if you just look at yours, they don't make them really complex. On this one, I just took the 2 screws off, saved the little rubber grommet, washer that they have. I'm guessing it keeps it from vibration. Certainly isn't a water seal because I'm not sure it's very watertight. So I guess I'm going to do, oh, good. I thought I was going to do the whole unpacking for you. Thankfully, I did not. So there it is. You don't want to, if you can get away with it, you don't want to be mounting it with, the whole apparatus because it's heavy and bulky and it gets in the way. So make sure you take that part off, the glass part and so forth, so it's not in the way. In this case, the new mounting bracket was kind of screwed in to the faceplate, so I took that off, and as you can see, you're going to need to take it off. The mounting bracket's going to need to be by itself. And then you're going to be putting it into the mounting plate that's in the concrete. Now, hopefully, everything's all peachy, and the screws that are supplied will go right into the new mounting plate. Wouldn't that be great? Oh. Now, also keep in mind, now what I was just fooling with there is actually the screws that allow the faceplate of the coach light to be put on. And you have to adjust those a bit, because if they stick out too far out of the faceplate, you won't be able to screw those little nuts on, because they're closed nuts for appearances, and they won't go all the way on. So make sure the screws only stick out enough that you can get those nuts on them good. So you adjust it a little bit. So you can see now I'm putting in the mounting screws for the plate, and you make sure you put the wires through the middle, have them out so that you can mount them. Now, so I'm putting the new screws in here, and I found that they would not go all the way in. So the hole was not deep enough for these screws to make the plate flush. Now, the plate could be secure like this, but you can see it's not flush. So what's going to happen is the coach light, just like before, won't be flush against the wall, and it'll look like crap. And you have all this stucco everywhere. So you want that faceplate to be, reasonably close, probably within less than half an inch to the actual concrete, or the faceplate and the coach light will stick out. So I got a concrete bit. Actually, this is an everything bit. A reasonably small one, and try to drill the hole out some, so that I could then put the mounting screws in there all the way, so it would be flush. Now, in my particular case here, the little screws they gave, the concrete wasn't very secure, and those weren't like Tapcons. They weren't designed to hold in concrete, so they kind of were slippery, and it wasn't real secure. So I tried a Tapcon, as you can see here. These are like basically concrete screws, and usually they work pretty good, but the concrete here and the stucco was real dry, flimsy and cracked, and it wasn't holding, not nearly as good as I would have liked. So, if it works for you, either of these other two options, that's great. But if it doesn't, you got to move on to putting a concrete, I can't think of what it's called, well, you'll see. The little plastic deal where you stick in the hole and screw the screw in. It's a little, oh my God, anchor. Oh my God, I got mad cow disease. Anyway, so I got to take this thing off, and sometimes they come off real easy, and this one had a like a concrete screw in place, and I had to pull that off. So then you can see I'm putting the anchor in. It's just a little piece of plastic. Some of them are like little pieces of metal. And then you just kind of tap the anchor into the hole, as you can see I did there. And then I'm going to have to put a little anchor. Just go to the store and buy the concrete anchors, and they're cheap. You get like a whole little box of them for a couple of bucks. And I tap the other one in, so they're kind of in there pretty flush. And then these little anchors come with appropriate screws. So you'll see the screw that came with the anchor there. Oh, never mind, I'm putting a ground wire. Okay, so yeah, there's a ground wire that I'm attaching to the faceplate there. And then I'll ground the lantern also to it. You'll see in a minute, but for now I'm going to mount the anchor screws. Now these came with those plastic anchors, and you can see once I screw it in, it's very nice. I mean, it expands back in there, and it creates a very firm surface, and as you can see, it's flush now. Well, once I'm done, it'll be completely flush. So how long I'm going to fiddle with that. There we go. I have no idea what I'm doing here. There we go. I'm trying to get it to started, and I wouldn't screw it all the way in with the drill, just because the drill can be a little bit strong, and you don't want to strip it. So once you get it down enough, you hand tighten it. Also, you want to check and make sure it's reasonably level, because you don't want your coach light to be sideways or off. And you can check the level by the two faceplate mounting screws, as you can see I just did. So here I am screwing again with the drill, which I just said not to do, because I am a genius. But luckily I did not strip these. I probably am going to hand tighten them. You would think. I would hope. I think I was just, there we go. Yeah. Hand tighten them down, make sure it's level. Nothing like putting this whole thing in and the coach light is kind of, sideways. So you definitely want to just double check. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it should be kind of close. So there we go. So now we got the electronics part of this. I'm going to hook the ground. Now, as you see before, I hooked the ground up to the back plate, that goes in, and then there's a wire that comes from that I attach to the green nut on the faceplate. Then, once I get the coach light up, I'm going to hook a ground from the coach light. So basically, you're ensuring that the ground is properly, situated. So basically, there's a ground wire coming out of the wall that goes into the green nut. All right, so here's the coach light itself, and I'm just preparing it right here. And if you have a helper to hold it for you, that's great. If you don't, just get like a string or something and tie the coach light, to the base, so that it's hanging close and gives you enough leeway with the wires so that you can do your wiring. So that's, as you can see here, I used the string, and you can see my awesome ability to tie knots. Yay. Alright, so now the ground, as I mentioned before, so the ground inside of the wall is already wrapped around the green nut, and now the coach light ground I'll wrap around the green nut, tighten that green nut down. There it is. Let's tighten that green nut down. Then we're going to find the black and white wires coming out of the wall, and make sure, we'll get to that in a second here, but make sure you obviously put the black wire with the white wire, and double check it, because if they've been there for a while, they could be discolored. So I'm just using the twisty that they came with the coach lights. I put the two wires together, as you can see, and I twist it on. You basically screw it on. Don't strip them, don't put it too tight, or just snug, and it works good. And then do the same thing with the other wire. And then after we're done with these wires, we want to tuck them out of the way. So you don't want them like all jammed up when you're trying to put the faceplate in. Again, might create a situation where the faceplate doesn't go flush. So we'll push these wires in there. I haven't done that. Oh, actually I haven't pushed them in yet because I want to check to make sure the light actually works with my wiring. So I put the light on, and yay, it worked. Okay. So now I take the string off, and I'm going to tuck the wiring in, as I mentioned, into the base station. Okay, so once we get that done, and we're going to carefully put the faceplate up to the mounting screws, which, if they're not correct, the length that comes out, like that mine weren't, adjust them a little bit. So whatever the adjustments are usually like what you see here. There's a nut you loosen, and you can kind of tighten or whatnot to change the length of the screw. You probably want to have a few centimeters coming out of the faceplate so you can put those closed-in nuts over it, and it holds it on good. Keeping in mind that that's actually holding the entire unit on. So, you want to have enough room so you can screw them down decently. So there we go. It looks like I have some good room there. All right. Put both of the closed nuts on. You can tighten them down depending on the circumstances. Put the light bulb back in. Happy days. And then you put your little cover on, depending on the particular coach light. I guess I'm going to show you this whole thing, which is pretty basic stuff there. Screw it down, and there we go. All right. Well, listen, guys, I do hope and well, again, the little decorative thing on the bottom, it's kind of a big bolt that just goes in there. You can adjust it. It's pretty simple and self-explanatory there. So anyway, again, guys, I'm no pro. If you see a better way to do this, put the comments. I can take it like a man, and I learn from you guys. Just I happened to pull this off without killing myself, so I figured I'd help you. In any case, if you liked it, put like. You can subscribe if you feel like it. You know how that's important. Thanks again, guys.